Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're talking Frankenslot wireless controllers. All right, I got a chance to pick up a set of Frankenslot wireless controllers, used, but they're still in great condition. I want to go through the menu tree. I want to go through how I use these controllers on my track. And I want to explain to you basically the ins and outs so you can get the most out of this controller if you're thinking of picking it up for your digital track. Let's get into it. All right, so here we have the controller. Let's get through the menu and I'm going to explain to you all the things you should know or at least want to know about this controller. First things first, this is your trigger or gas. This is the button in the back to switch your lanes. It's set, actually offset a little bit for, I guess, right-handed people, which is a little, I guess they just did it that way. But it's nice, it fits nice and ergonomic in the hand. The button is easy to press, one hand configuration here, as you can see, and the on-off switch is at the top. All the way up means on, and all the way back means off. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you get one of these is to install some batteries. There are 3 screws, and in the back there are the nuts that are being held. So be careful when taking out the screws because the nuts will fall out. They're not glued or they're not implanted into the controller. So just be aware of that. When you take out the screws that they might fall on the floor, so have them on a table or a workbench before working on them. So the website recommends using Duracell Industrial AAAs. You can only fit AAAs. These guys came with Energizer Max, and I just want to mention this because I can't, I don't like Energizer Max. I've had these batteries specifically blow up on me in different products, in some trail cameras I had for some of my hunting equipment. So I stay away from these as much as possible. Energizer Max are batteries that are have lower quality control because they're mass produced faster than standard batteries. So stay away from batteries that are like from the Dollar Tree or discounted batteries or just any cheapy old. If the manual's recommending Duracell, that's what I would recommend you put into your controller, just because that's what they've tested it with, and these guys are extremely garbage. I've had such bad experience, so just in my opinion, stay away from Energizer Max. So if replacing batteries for the second time, you might want to go through the menu. I noticed that only one setting had changed, so you're going to want to double check that. So we're going to get into the menu in just a second. All right, so after you've installed the batteries, the next thing we want to do is to pair this controller to the track. Also because there's no way you can get any of the menu settings saved or go through any of the menus properly without having the controller connected to the CU. So even when you want to do a menu change, the CU has to be on and this has to be paired. Let's get to the first step, pairing your controller. Super simple. Turn on the CU, select your channel, hold down this lane switch button, turn on the switch. There you go. As soon as you see that light, you've got this connected to that channel. So that was channel 2. And how do we know this is connected to channel 2? Turn it off and then look at that red light when you turn on the controller. Okay, so you see it'll start blinking and the first 2 lights that came on flash 2. That's letting you know that this controller is paired to channel 2. If I open up this controller, you'll see it'll blink once because it's only on channel 1. Once, there's a pause, and there you go. Now that little flash, a quick blink, means that it's in working mode. Now I want to mention something. This on-off button has a 3-way position. The middle position, I have yet to know what that is. I believe someone had explained to me, I believe it was Pete from Show Me Slot Cars, said that the reason why there's a middle switch here, that it takes 2 steps to get to the on and 2 steps to get to the off. 1, 2, 1, 2, is because to make sure that there is no shorting happening, to make sure that the power is completely off, so that there's no electricity flowing through the chip, so that it's actually in a neutral position. So it's a way to protect the controller. That's just how it is. Okay, so yeah, that's it. You'll know which controller is on which channel with when you turn it on with the blinking. So now that it's on, now that it's paired to your track, I'm not gonna test it. You gotta trust me. Like just do it. All right, car's on. Let's turn this thing on. It's on. Double click. Lift. There you go. And it's paired. Yay! We know how to pair a car. Okay. Now let's dive into the menus. In order to get into the menu, you have to hold down the trigger, hold down the switch button, and turn on the controller. There you go. And the light's going to shine a solid color. You just have to release the controller, release the gas, release the switch button, and there you go. Now it's blinking. Now the first menu is the number of speed levels. So Frankenslot has 3 different settings for this. You can be in the original 16 speed step, you can be in a 30 speed step, or a 44 speed step. You can go through those options by selecting with the back button. So 3 right now, it's flashing 1, 2, 3. I'm in the 30 speed step flow. If you click it again, click it once, it'll flash 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, perfect. And if you click it again, it'll flash once, indicating which level it's at. I prefer the 33 speed in level 3, and that's, I'll get into that later and why I like it. So that's it. So that's your first menu. So to save this menu, you just hold down the switch button. There you go. And once you have that quick flash, you know that the menu is saved, and it'll automatically bring you into the next menu. And the next menu is the launch control active or switched off. So the launch control is something that Frankenslot used to have a button for, but in this case, it's pre-programmed into the controller. Basically, the explanation is it's just a smoother ride so the car doesn't spin out. I've noticed a bit of jagginess when the option is off, so I just leave it on. If the light is flashing once, it means that it's deactivated. If it's flashing twice, like that, it means that it's activated. I leave it on this. It's defaulted to this. I still have to play around with it, but I kind of like this menu on. I kind of like this option on. I find that the car just has a smoother transition when jogging the gas. But you guys can mess around with that once you have your controller. Now, so I'm going to save this again by holding down the switch button, sorry. It's saved and it goes into the next menu. Now, the next menu is to select the performance curve. I'll put up a little picture of that there. Going through the menu, 1 is the linear curve, 2 flashes is the number 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6 relatively. It comes in default with the number 3 selected. I haven't really messed around with this too much, but I kind of like how the 3, you get a quick speed in the beginning, in the front end of your trigger, and in the middle you get like a slower response type of deal, and then as you get to the back of your trigger controller here, you get more full power. I kind of like this configuration. It's smoother. Jen enjoys it as well. I still have to mess around with the different performance curves, but at the moment this one seems to do the trick, and that's it. I mean, you guys, it's for you to figure out which one you prefer. There's no right or wrong. I think that it's probably more noticeable on an analog setup. That way the cars will respond a little smoother, but there is definitely a difference on the digital, and I prefer this setting at the moment, the number 3 setting. So again, I mean, if you press this button, it'll go through, it'll flash once, twice, up to 7 times. And I mean, I don't need to explain that to you guys. So if you want to move to the next menu, again, you hold down the switch. So basically there's only 2 ways of using this controller. It's just with this button. You're going to press it once to navigate through the options, or you're going to hold it down until it flashes to save and move on to the next menu. So we're going to do that. There you go. Sometimes it takes a little second because it just loops. So the next menu is the select the trigger position from where the cars start. So you'll see that there is no flashing lights. So you can choose, right? If I start pushing down on the controller, the light will just light up. At this point, I can hold down the save button, and the trigger position of where the motor will actually get electricity will start from here. And at first I wasn't really sure what this is for, but if people have like shorter fingers and they want to hold down the controller here first and then have it click, start there, that's one way of using this. I don't really see any other. I mean, maybe you guys can explain to me why this option would even be in here, but you have the option of choosing where the car starts between here and here. This movement here, you can see the washer moving up and down. but I kind of just leave it off. My fingers work really well here. I have, I like keeping it all the way to the max. So does Jen, and she has shorter fingers than me. But if you're racing with younger children and they have a shorter finger span, you might want to like give them a closer distance, or yourself, if maybe you have a finger injury or something, you can really play with this and get this to really customize. You can get this to really customize where the engine starts, where the electricity is actually applied to the motor. So I like it off. Hold it down, save, perfect. Now the next menu is where your maximum speed is. So as you see, as I pull it down, the light does not turn on. And around near the end, here you go. So I've got a bit of play here where the maximum speed is. This is something I might actually start messing around with, because getting your finger all the way to the back does take a little bit of extra movement. So to have that fine-tune ability, I don't know if that's a word, but that fine-tune ability right at the end where I can hit maximum without having to push the controller all the way down, it just makes it for a smoother experience. Again, this is all to taste. This is all how you like it and how you like to drive. So the customization on this thing is really, really good, and I was really impressed. And this is it. This is the last menu. So I still keep this to off. I kind of like the way things are with this. So I'll hold down the button. It'll flash. It's saved. And that's it. Now we're back to regular mode. All right, you got the blinking. Now, at any point, if you just wanted to go in and mess with, let's say just the speed control in the beginning, the 16 steps or the 30 steps, as soon as you go into that menu, okay, all you have to do is turn off the controller. So if I turn off the controller now, and I hold down and I get back into the menu here, hold down the trigger, hold down the back button, turn it on. Light is solid, perfect. I let go of both buttons. There you go, I'm back into the 3. Let's say I move in and I'm like, okay, I'll go back to the 1. Let's test this, right? And I save it. Once you've saved, okay, once you've pressed this button and you've saved that configuration, there you go, it's saved. All you have to do is turn off the controller. You don't have to cycle through all the menu, which I thought was pretty neat. And that was great of them to think about that. You just turn it off. Whatever you saved is saved, no biggie. There is a standby mode. If you do forget to turn off your controller, after 5 minutes, the controller will go into standby. You have about 9 months of this lasting on battery on standby mode. The controller itself will last 84 hours with 2 Duracell industrial AAA batteries. This is what the manual says. So you've got about 80 hours of play here. When the batteries go, you will notice the car will just start stuttering and it'll be all wonky, and you'll know that oh, okay, hey, the batteries are ça marche pas, they're not working. And so you just turn off the controller, change the batteries out, and then double check that you didn't lose any of your settings. I had to go back in and I noticed that one of my settings was set to the next menu. I believe it was the speed control. So instead of having it at 30, it jumped to the 44 speed settings. No big deal. I mean, you just check it. You saw how easy it was to go into the menu, double check that everything is working. And that's it. I mean, that's pretty much A to Z what this controller can do. I'm pretty impressed, and there's so much customization with this. Like, even if you started working with the just the steps alone, right? If you wanted to work with the 16 steps to the 33 definitely gives the car a smoother feel on the track, especially depending on which curves you use. But if we're just talking about the speed control, going from 16 to 33 is a noticeable difference. Now the 16, think of it as like power on demand. You're going to get that car closer to maximum speed faster, just because it only has 16 steps to go, versus the 33. Well, you'll have a smoother transition, but at the same time you'll be able to feather this a lot easier and really control your car, and you'll have more steps to navigate difficult curves or sharper curves or whatever have you. It's just a more enjoyable experience. Just a more enjoyable experience, in my opinion. Sorry, hopefully that wasn't bugging you the whole video. And that's it. And then once you get into the 33 steps or 44 is a little much. I think that's more for like bigger tracks and analog racing. That's just my opinion. You guys can really mess with that. There's no right or wrong setting on this. This is all to taste and how you want to do it. And that's it. I mean, there's no real downside. I mean, like when you're holding the controller, you've got this, you can, takes a while to get used to. I tend to hold it with 2 hands and push down on the button. This button is pretty robust. I mean, it happened a few times where I pressed it and it did not work, but that's only because you really got to press down on it. So giving me the impression that this button is meant for abuse. So it's really well constructed, really well built. I give it a 10 on 10, 100% for this. The grips feel great, easy to clean after a while when you get your grubby hands all over it. You know, this is a bit of a pain to get to, I think, with the thumb. I mean, they did make a bigger space, but other than that, like, you know, there's not really much negatives to this controller, except for the fact that it is on the wireless setting. So if you do have any other wireless things in the room, I have experienced that this, I did experience once that this controller started jittering and having interference just because we're working on a lower frequency at the 2.4. These are obviously have to be safety rated and not rated for industrial use, so things will be able to interfere with it. Now I have camera lighting and other wireless things down here and there is no issue, but if you're using anything powerful like maybe a wireless transceiver for audio equipment or video equipment, you might run into some interference. But that is it. That is the only thing really that you have to look out for these wireless controllers. And yeah, so I'm super happy with this purchase. I hope I explained this, you know, to your liking and to your understanding. If you have any questions, by all means, put them down in the comments below. I will be putting a link to the wiki, the Frankenslot wiki, and hopefully you guys might be able to translate it a bit better for me or for yourself. And that's it, guys. Thank you again for watching. This was my Frankenslot review and menu go through, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, see you in the next ones.